So, the F-35 is a dud. Well, of course he's not. Hello, welcome to Millennium 7 Star, the channel that helps you make sense of military history and military technology. This video is a follow-up about the F-35 and the recent news that the United States Air Force is going to start a study for a 4++ or 5- generation fighter that is supposed to replace the bulk of the F-16, and the obvious consequence will be that fewer F-35As at least will be bought by the service. That video, as I was sort of expecting, has been very controversial. There have been quite a lot of comments. In this video I'm trying to collect all the main themes that have been discussed in these comments, and I'm trying to just discuss them because I believe it is an interesting discussion to have. And I warn you, some of the stuff that came up is really quite bizarre, so please stay till the end. And well, if you stay till the end, YouTube will know that this is a good video, so maybe it will show the video to other people who may be interested. So, the F-35 is a dud. Well, I never said that, even though there's a lot of people who seem to think that this is what I said, and seem to think that the plane is definitely a dud. So I think it's probably better to clarify my thinking. From an operational point of view, it is an excellent platform. The F-35 is a multi-role platform, an excellent machine at the top of its categories, at least by now. Being a multi-role machine, none of the performance parameters of the F-35 are top of the category, but that's the nature of a multi-role platform. The whole F-35 package is excellent. Moreover, we can consider the F-35 a revolutionary aircraft because even if it is not by any means the first network-centric aircraft, it is probably the most sophisticated in existence today. However, we can't expect that the plane will be at the top of its category forever. That's just the nature of things. The whole world is at work trying to beat the F-35 in its key strengths. For example, the Israelis actually estimate that stealth would be a decisive advantage for the next 5 to 10 years, but after that it won't be as important as it is today. So, if the F-35 is an excellent machine, is it also devoid of problems? Obviously no, by any means. Actually, the F-35 program was a very complex program. It was a program that basically built three different planes under one single program. So it was a very complicated program, and all the problems that every plane, every fighter encounters during development have been amplified. There have been many more teething problems than normal, and some of them are not yet fixed. And we can't really say that the program was managed in the best way possible, because hundreds of planes have been built while being not ready for operations, and the bill to upgrade those planes to a reasonable combat level apparently is very, very high. The other problem with a plane so sophisticated is that the logistic tail is large, maintenance is complex, This means that readiness rates are lower than other planes. The hélice, the logistic system that was built together with the plane, was basically a failure. That one was a failure and is basically being rebuilt as we speak. All these problems can be classified under the fitting problem label. They are progressively being fixed, but obviously it's going to take time and it's going to take money. Plus, there is another class of issues for the international partners. First one is that the technology transfer in the F-35 program is very low. I mean, F-35 components have an anti-tamper system just to avoid foreign people, or let's say non-authorized people, to look into the boxes. So no national variations are actually possible, with one exception, partial, which is Israel. The logistics system as it was built had severe problems in keeping the sovereign data of the single Air Force segregated from the data of the United States Air Force. There have been developed country-specific solutions just to avoid these data traveling back to the United States. Also, the plane requires some data libraries to operate at its best. Those data are prepared in the United States only. And finally, overall, the plane is built to operate within the network-centric environment that is characteristic of the United States Air Force. Less rich, less wealthy Air Forces may not be in the position of actually using all the features of the plane at its best, not having all the force multiplier that normally the United States Air Force deploys together with the plane. So I want to be very, very clear. What I am thinking is that the F-35 is an excellent platform, a revolutionary plane with some problems that are the problems that I have just summarized. So some of the comments said that I did not understand the sense of the interview and that the F-35 is not going away. Well, actually, I know that General Brown, together with the announcement of starting this study on a 4++ generation fighter, also said that the F-35 is pivotal for the United States Air Force, is not going anywhere, and for the near future and for the coming future is going to be at the center of the operation of the United States Air Force. I am well aware. My point is, well, first, he could not have said anything different. That was his institutional role that forced him to say so. But if the chief of an organization that till yesterday was willing to sacrifice everything for the F-35 is saying, well, maybe after all we need something different, this cannot be just a casual proposition. It means that there is some serious thinking behind that. Does it mean that the F-35 is a failure? Of course not. And the title was the usual little bit of clickbait that you can see on YouTube. So if there is any serious thinking behind this announcement, well, I just try to speculate around the possible scenarios. There's obviously still the possibility that nothing will happen, but there's also the possibility that we may see a radical change of tack in 2 or 3 years. Before moving forward, I would like to point out an aspect that is hardly mentioned when we talk about military aviation and military planes on YouTube. One of the comments was from a person who's currently working for the F-35 program, who was saying, you can just imagine how I feel. there is the potential for me to lose my job in few years, maybe. So I would like to point out the fact that the F-35 is also a great job creator. Hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions actually, in a way or another are involved in the program, all around the world. And we always look at these programs from the point of view of the taxpayer, but we must always remember that sometimes the taxpayer is also an employee. So cuts to a program that are positive for the taxpayer may also lead to the dismissal of the employee, who is a taxpayer as well. Since the F-35 is built in a lot of places around the world, just think about those places where it is not easy to find a different job if you're laid off, or there is no protection, no help for unemployed people. Now, you may think that this is very important or totally irrelevant depending on your political position. Whatever it is, I just believe it is important to remember this aspect as well. So the F-35 won't go away. General Brown didn't say this, and even common sense actually says that the F-35 is not going away anytime soon. What might happen is that the production of the F-35A for the Air Force is going to stop at few hundreds units rather than over 1,000 as it was planned originally. The effect of this will be pushing up a bit the prices of all the other variants for the United States and for the international partners. If this happened, wouldn't be particularly strange. It is actually commonplace that these large programs produce fewer numbers than originally planned. If this happens, the F-35 will be part of the high mix of the Air Force. It will be used on pretty much the same mission that is going to be used today, but it will be used more sparingly and more wisely. It will be the platform to attack high-value targets or well-defended targets in highly contested environments. Will be used to collect electronic information about the enemy. This is something that is not often considered, but the F-35 actually excels at this, like the French Rafale. Another mission where the F-35 has demonstrated to be very effective is performing like a mini AWACS that is going to fly together with other aircraft in the formation and helping them to coordinate their operations. Probably a two-seater would do great this role, like the Swedish do with the two-seater Gripen. So even discounting everything we said before, a new fighter makes sense. It makes sense because planes like the F-22 or the F-35 have a program. You can't afford to lose them. Probably in a generalized conflict against a near-peer opponent, you may give for granted that you will have some losses even among the F-35s and the F-22. But in any other situation, considering that these planes are always presented as the pinnacle of technology, well, even losing one has dire consequences. This aura of invincibility is one of the assets of these weapons, and the effect that destroying one would have on the opponents, well, should not be discounted. And this is something the Air Force is well aware, hence the focus on attritable solutions like the Skyborg or the Loyal Wingman. The Air Force would prefer to lose a drone or a UCAV that costs even tens of millions of dollars anyway, rather than losing one of those planes. So in this context, having a 4++ or 5- generation plane, well, it just makes sense. It's a plane you can afford to lose. A foreign solution based on already proven airframe would allow the Air Force to drastically cut the initial costs. And it would be even more so if the Air Force would accept to use out of the box some of the major components like the engine. We are obviously talking about a license-built solution and not a straightforward purchase. Yes, because some adaptations are unavoidable anyway. And no, the combat versions of training planes probably won't do because, well, the performances are just not adequate. So the F-16V and the F-21 are actually very capable platforms and they're still being built. So why not buying a few more of those? Well, because the development potential of the F-16 is pretty much at the end. To be honest, this is an interesting subject that would deserve probably a video of its own, and in the future we will probably do that. However, there are several factors limiting the upgradability of modern combat plane. In short, there are a few factors that actually limit the upgradability of a modern combat plane. An important one is the availability of electric power, which is often connected with the engine being installed. Another one is the internal room for adding new systems that may not be available. Or if it is available, it is not organized in a way that allows the installation of these new systems. This may seem trivial, but it is not, and we will discuss this more in the future. Some other comments mentioned that maybe the international partner would have better cancelling their orders and their participation to the program if the United States Air Force attitude toward the plane is such. Well, as I already explained, the F-35 is not going away. Another important element is that the F-35B is really a revolutionary plane. It is a huge improvement against the Harrier, and it is giving even smaller nations that can afford just light carriers a whole new range of capabilities. So, despite the cost, there is really no alternative to the F-35B. So, if the unit costs are going to increase, this will be a problem for the smaller air forces, and particularly for those air forces that are planning to have the F-35 as the only real combat plane in their inventory. They may have to accept to operate lower numbers. However, in the mid-sized air forces like Italy, Great Britain, Spain, and so on, Japan and so on, would probably make sense to have 2 or 3 squadrons of F-35s to be used for those kind of missions that we discussed before, together with a lower tier of 4++ generation planes. The F-35 would be the high part of the mix, the 4++ would be the lower part or the workhorse of the mix. Some other comments asked why, rather than developing a new piloted plane, the Air Force is not pointing directly to UCAVs. Well, to be honest, I believe that part of it is just institutional tradition. The Air Force is dominated by the pilots, and I suppose rightly so. So it's hard that anything that is going to make the pilot redundant is going to be popular. But even if this wasn't the case, well, there's another problem. Believe it or not, the artificial intelligence that is going to pilot these UCAV is still quite stupid. The algorithms are nowhere near as good as a pilot in taking crucial decisions. It is dangerous, but also quite inefficient, leaving these kind of decisions about life and death to the algorithms. So in fact, the future that the Air Force is seeing is having humans in charge of a fleet of UCAVs and not giving much room to the UCAV autonomous decisions. rebuilding the production lines and all the logistic chains associated with the F-22 production would be prohibitive. It will cost basically like starting from scratch. Moreover, it appears that not all the documentation and not all the toolings required has been preserved, so there should be some level of reverse engineering. And in any case, it would be terribly difficult finding 20 or 30 years old computer components or any kind of standard components for the systems, for the hydraulics or the electrical systems that are actually 20 or 30 years old, that were chosen when the plane was designed, and maybe today they're no longer in production. Maybe today there are northern regulations that made them obsolete. And in any case, wouldn't you be tempted to introduce some upgrades to a project which is 30, 40 years old? So if you combine all these things, you actually realize that rebuilding the F-22 is tantamount as building a new plane. There would be just one advantage. It would be a very low risk project because, all the unknowns have been already worked out. But the project itself would be enormous, like starting from scratch. Seriously? It is a 40 years old project. It was never built for real. It was never fully developed. It was never really tested. Technology has moved on. Really, what's the point? Again, it was just a prototype, never fully developed, never built in series, never really tested. So, yeah, it's a non-starter. However, in this case, the aerodynamic formula that had been chosen in that case could be a viable formula for the new plane. So the F-16XL could be the inspiration for this new 4++ generation plane. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you like this second makeshift video. If you like this video, I'm sure you will love the videos that are going to appear beside me. In the meanwhile, please like, dislike, subscribe and hit the bell so you won't miss anything. If you could support the channel or subscribe to our Patreon, that would be amazing and you will have my gratitude forever. In the meanwhile, thank you very much for watching, stay safe and see you next time.